Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Oh, she's touching him off the neck. Look! You see?
Why do people not want to let the Jay-Z Blu Cantrell thing go?
Because, honey, that was a fabulous little high point in your
Well,
career.
what about Beyonce and Jay-Z? That's fabulous.
Yeah, but...
Blu Cantrell came out swinging with lyrics and vocals that instantly set her apart. Her debut album, So Blue, turned heads and earned critical praise, putting her right in the spotlight of the early 2000s R&B scene. But just as quickly as she rose to fame, she seemed to disappear. After a second album, some international success, and a handful of appearances, Blu was suddenly nowhere to be found. For years, fans have been asking the same question: what happened to Blu Cantrell? Now, out of nowhere, she's speaking up, and what she's revealing about her past, her career, and what kept her away for so long is leaving people stunned. To understand why her words hit so hard today, we have to go back to where it all began.
The same person that robbed me for like $500 for a session ended up being in the studio while I was there with the president of the label.
Blu Cantrell didn't come from privilege or connections. She grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, raised by a single mother alongside 5 siblings. Her father, a former NBA player, was absent from her life entirely. Blu didn't sugarcoat it. She's openly called him a deadbeat. With her mom juggling multiple roles just to keep the lights on, Blu saw struggle up close and personal. But that struggle shaped her hustle. She knew early on that if she wanted something, she'd have to fight for it. Music was her escape. Surrounded by jazz and soul from childhood, Blu found comfort in melodies and lyrics. She was constantly around her mom singing, and that influence stayed with her. At just 17, she made a bold move. She left Rhode Island for New York City. Alone in a fast-paced, cutthroat environment, she came chasing a dream to make it in the music business. But New York wasn't welcoming or forgiving. Blu didn't have connections or big money backing her. She had to grind. But dreams aren't cheap, and Blu had to do whatever it took to survive. In those early New York days, making rent came before recording demos. Blu was young and broke, and survival became the priority. At 18, she made a choice that would follow her for years. She posed for some racy photos. It wasn't about fame or attention. It was simply about paying bills, staying afloat, and keeping the dream alive. She needed the money. But the past doesn't stay buried in the entertainment world. When Blu finally started getting noticed, those same photos came back around. Suddenly, something she did out of necessity became gossip material. People judged, opportunities slipped through her fingers, even a relationship with a professional basketball player ended after he found out about the images. The double standard hit hard. She was being punished for doing what so many artists are forced to do in silence: survive. The backlash wasn't easy, but Blu didn't hide. She faced the rumors head on, and while some doors closed, others began to open because of one thing no one could deny: her voice. Blu's breakthrough wasn't something you could plan. It was luck, timing, and pure talent coming together all at once. While moving through the Atlanta music scene, she crossed paths with a few big names, including Usher and music producer Tricky Stewart. That meeting would change everything. Tricky heard her sing and instantly knew she had something special. He believed in her and took her under his wing. Through that connection, Blu ended up meeting L.A. Reid, a powerhouse executive in the music world. Reid was blown away by her vocals and presence. Soon there was competition among labels to sign her, but she ultimately went with Arista Records. It was a full circle moment. From couch surfing and scraping by in New York to signing a major record deal, Blu was finally getting the shot she had dreamed of since she was a kid in Rhode Island. And that shot led straight to the studio where her biggest hit was about to be born.
You know what? I go through it. You know what? I go through the Faith, I go through the J-Lo, I go through the Beyonce. I get those all the time. All the time.
I'm not saying
they're always going to compare
right
you to somebody. Yeah, but once you become more familiar to the people, they'll stop calling you that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of time. They just got to get to know me better. That's all it is.
Blu Cantrell finally had what most artists dream of: a major label deal. But that contract came with strings. Like so many artists in the early 2000s, Blu signed a deal that looked good on the surface but hid the real cost. While she got a shot at the spotlight, the fine print locked away most of her profits. The label owned her masters, took a big chunk of her earnings, and had control over what music she could release and when. Still, Blu made it work. Her debut album So Blue dropped in 2001 and it was an instant success. The lead single Hit 'Em Up Style became a national anthem. With a mix of sass, storytelling, and slick production, it climbed the charts and stayed there. Blu didn't just sit back and wait for fame to find her, she hit the road herself. She promoted the album across the country, meeting fans, doing radio spots, and performing non-stop. She worked harder than most realized, all while wearing a smile. But while the fame grew, the money didn't. Blu was making the rounds, topping charts and getting airplay, but her bank account didn't reflect it. That's the part fans didn't see. She was a hit artist living on a tight budget, all because of a contract that benefited everyone but her. And just when it seemed she was on top, the old ghosts came crawling back.
I have a big crush on him now. I'll tell you that much.
Did you find
Still have a crush on him now. No, I didn't. No, I'm really selective about it.
What?
Really. I really like him though. And I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him.
As Blu's star rose, so did the attention, and not all of it was good. Those photos she had taken as a teenager came back into the spotlight. Instead of being seen for her music, tabloids started focusing on her past. In the UK, it got so serious that a major radio station banned her music over the controversy. It was a blow, especially since Hit 'Em Up Style was still charting high. Blu could have gone into hiding, but instead she leaned into it. She handled the backlash with humor and boldness. At the height of the talk, she posed for Playboy for a reported $1 million. It was her way of taking the narrative back and owning her image. But behind the confidence was real damage. The attention cost her another relationship and stained how some fans and industry people viewed her. People talked more about the pictures than the powerful vocals she was known for. It was frustrating, but she kept pushing forward. In the middle of her rising fame, rumors started flying, especially about Blu and Jay-Z. Despite him being linked with Beyonce at the time, people speculated about a possible connection with Blu. She later admitted she had a crush on Jay, but firmly denied anything serious ever happened. Still, gossip blogs and fans ran wild with theories. What made things even more complicated were the comparisons to Beyonce herself. Blu's 2003 single Breathe was a smooth, sultry track with Sean Paul that had a familiar sound. Not long after, Beyonce released Baby Boy, which also featured Sean Paul and shared a similar Caribbean vibe. Fans noticed, and Blu did too. Blu never outright accused Beyonce, but she did make comments suggesting she felt copied. In interviews, she hinted that ideas and vibes from her music were showing up in Beyonce's releases. It wasn't a full-on diss, but it was clear she didn't appreciate the comparisons, especially when she felt she wasn't getting her credit. That tension stuck, even though Beyonce was skyrocketing in fame. Blu wasn't afraid to speak up and remind folks where that sound might have started. The comparisons didn't stop there, and Blu wasn't afraid to clap back.
That's a Blu Cantrell, but yeah, no, he was dating Blu, but he had another woman that was pregnant that was about to come out with her pregnancy around the same time.
Was she from the islands?
Something like that. And that's where he met Rihanna. Robin Fenty is in Barbados. So I know he spends a lot of time out there. And what I do know, and I don't even have to say allegedly, is that he has a trap house in Dallas, Texas, that him and Diddy are funding, and they have minors, male and female, working in there. And I'll say it into the camera, and it's not allegedly. Y'all need to go see about Dallas. And they got Yellow Beezy running it. That's on me, baby.
Oh,
they got minor women and boys. I would say women, teenage girls and boys, and they're having sex with the girls.
Blu Cantrell's rise looked like a dream from the outside, but behind the scenes, it was a storm building for years. The music industry can chew people up, especially those who don't have strong support systems behind them. Blu was dealing with more than most people realized. The pressure to stay relevant, the weight of a bad contract, the constant comparisons, and the gossip all added up. On top of that, she was facing personal pain. A close family loss shook her deeply, and her mental health started slipping. By 2014, Blu's name hit the headlines again, but not for her music. A strange public incident made waves. She was reportedly picked up by police after being seen running through the streets barefoot, saying someone was trying to harm her. It was written off by many as just another celebrity meltdown. But for those who looked deeper, it was clear this wasn't just drama, it was a breaking point. point, and then Blu disappeared. People had theories. Some thought she'd quit music for good. Others said she'd gone into hiding, but the truth was much more painful. Blu wasn't just escaping fame, she was trying to survive. So what happened next? Why did she vanish? And what did Blu finally say that left fans stunned today? After years of silence, Blu Cantrell has finally opened up, and what she shared caught everyone off guard. For the first time, she confirmed what fans had only guessed. Her struggles were very real and ran deep. She spoke honestly about how the music industry worked her to the bone, but gave her very little in return. She was overworked, underpaid, and constantly surrounded by people who only cared about what they could get from her. She didn't have the freedom she thought she'd signed up for. Promises were made, but those promises were broken. Blu also talked about how isolating fame became. When the spotlight fades, the phone stops ringing, and people stop showing up. Add to that the trauma she was carrying from her past and the stress of living under constant judgment, it was all too much. She says she hit a wall. The breakdown in 2014 wasn't random. It was a result of years of pain, manipulation, and being pushed past her limits. But now, Blu is taking her voice back. She's not just talking about her experience, she's owning it. No more hiding. She says she's finally in a place where she can speak her truth without fear. The same fire that made Hit 'em Up Style a hit is still there, but now it's focused on healing, growth, and clarity. She's reminding people that success doesn't protect you from pain and that fame doesn't mean freedom. Her willingness to talk about mental health, bad contracts, and how the industry failed her is opening the door for conversations that matter. And now, with her re-emerging, people are wondering, could a comeback be on the horizon? Whether she drops new music or not, one thing is clear: Blu Cantrell's voice is back, not just the one on the radio, but the one that's raw, powerful, and finally unfiltered. Well, let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Leave your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.